Hi there, language learners, welcome back. Today on How to Learn a Language, I will tell you how I go about it when I have a difficult grammar topic. It can be very extensive with a lot of exceptions or just very complex. First thing you need to do is, of course, get the explanation of the grammar topic. For example, in a grammar book or in your lesson book. You can also look it up online or watch YouTube videos. The thing I usually do is I look through it all, so the whole thing, so you have more or less an idea of the big lines, so which parts are there within this huge grammar topic. I'm going to give you an example today. I'm learning Portuguese, and I was learning about the position of object pronouns and some other pronouns. Let me just get rid of my cat. There are a lot of rules in there. I got a document from my teacher, and it's a very nice document. It's a good overview, but it's quite a lot to handle at once. So I have decided to only take one part and learn that for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So I read it all, especially I read the example sentences. And in this case, there were actually 3 positions of those words, before the verb, in the middle of the verb, or after the verb. So I chose to start with the cases in which that little word is before the verb. Within that part, there were quite a lot of rules, and not all of them seemed very clear to me. I would really have to look into it, because sometimes, there's a lot of grammatical terms that to you might seem a bit like, I don't really know what they mean with that. So I chose only 5 rules, the 5 easiest. I always start with the easiest part that you can handle, let's say. So I wrote down 5 rules, negations, question words, subordinate sentences. Well, for me, these 3 things were pretty clear. Then there was a category with, I don't know what the term was, and don't know it in English. And there were some example words with it. So what I did is I just chose 3 of those words and write them down, so I know that kind of words, even though I don't know the grammatical term exactly. So I just, let's see. Here, so I just wrote down 3 words of that category. Sometimes there's a category of which it just says, like, here it says most adverbs. And then there is a list, but not all of them. So I also just choose first 3 or 4 maybe, and then I will just only learn those. And then later on I will study more. So it's very important that after reading you decide what you're going to study first, that is the most clear part to you, and then you write not too many, like for example here I had 5, it's a good amount, I think I can handle that, and then you write it down in your own words, okay, in a nice overview for yourself. Then I write down below that some example sentences. Yeah, so I have now each rule has 1 example sentence, and then within that example sentence you can see that I made clear with yellow marking which is the rule, the word that indicates the rule, and then the object word, in this case I have it with the pink surrounded, and the verb with the pencil underlined. You can think of the way you like it, that it's clear to you. And then in the end what I did is, it's not really object, it's some kind of pronoun. Well, for me, for now I'm just calling those little words objects. For me, I know it's not the 100% the correct word, but that's what I'm using now, and I wanted to have an overview of all of those little words, so I wrote them, let's see, below. They're just these. So at the top you can see singular, and below you can see plural. For me, this is a nice overview. It's very important that you keep in mind, okay, I don't know everything yet, this is just a part, but this is the way to go about it. You don't want to try to do the impossible, okay? What I also like to do before actually making this overview is look into some other materials. I have several grammar books on Portuguese. I have the document of my teacher and I compare them a bit. But that's up to you if you want to do that. Alright, so then you have an overview with some examples. I also recommend you, I mean, if you're learning a language, you're probably also studying vocabulary. So to add some examples to your vocabulary list. Could be the same 5 sentences, or you can make 5 other ones. Would actually be even a good idea. So you have more different example sentences to really get used to the concept. So then you have some repetition. Another thing you can do, because now you have the overview, you've studied it, you've decided what you're going to study first, and now, yeah, it's time to take a period, let's say 2 weeks, that you're going to be working with this. One of the things you can do, of course, is make exercises. For example, you make 1 exercises of this topic every day for the next 2 weeks, in the book, online, or anywhere. So you can make exercises. What you can also do, because sometimes you have to remember the rules, of course. So I have 5 rules. So what I did is at the back, I wrote down the exact same things, like 5 stars. And then to test myself, I can try to write down the rules, just to remember all the 5 rules. Yeah. Or what you can do is write the translation of the example sentences at the back. So you can test whether, if you translate it back into Portuguese in this case, if you know it and if you applied these rules correctly. And in the end I put even, can test myself whether I know all the words that are included in these rules. So you have the examples in your vocabulary list that you will be repeating. You have every day 1 exercise that you can do, or you can write down the rules, translate the sentences. But one thing that many people forget about is what is very important is that you become aware of the concept of this grammar topic. And you can do that while reading and listening. So anytime I run into one of these words, I look at the sentence and I think, so why is it that they put it before the verb in this case? Oh wait, I see a negation, that's why. Just to, to be working with this consciously. So that is a good thing you can do. Of course, the best thing, if you've done all of this and you think you know it, the best thing is just to go out there and use it. So write sentences or speak. If you speak, it would be nice if you have someone that can correct you. So try to think of sentences in which you can actually use this grammar. If you write sentences, you can ask for feedback. For example, using the application Hi Native. It's like a community where native speakers give you feedback on your sentences, either written or spoken. So Hi Native is Hi, like H-I, native. So you could say, I'm going to write 3 sentences a day and put them on Hi Native, or give them to my teacher for feedback with this topic. So then you, after 2 weeks, really have this topic under control, let's say. And then, of course, there is the next step. So there are 2 things you can do. It depends a bit on the topic. If it's like a huge topic with just 2 categories, for example, Dutch verbs in the past tense, I recommend first to just learn the regular past tense, and then the irregular past tense is still a very, very big list. I put it into 5 categories myself. But you can also say, okay, I'm going to study 5 new past tense, irregular past tense words, verbs, 5 verbs per week or 10 verbs per week. I'm going to add a little bit. Or in this case, since I didn't write down all the rules of the verb, the cases in which the word comes before the verb, I didn't write them all, so I'm going to add like 2 rules per week. And the rules that were a little less clear, of course, I will have to look into it on YouTube or another book or a teacher or a native, so we'll have to ask if I don't understand it. If you don't understand it, then if you don't grasp the idea, it's really hard to study it, right? Of course, you can come to understand it by seeing it a lot. So it's always good to read a lot, to listen a lot. When you're speaking, you're also listening, so you can see a lot of example situations in which it's being used. When you see this grammar topic being used in your text that you're reading, copy the sentence and put it in your vocabulary list with your translation into your language. So that's what you can do to get used to, if it's very complex, to just get used to it. The more you see it, the more you will get used to it. You can even say, okay, first I'm only going to, get used to it, see it a lot, and then I'm going to try to actually use it myself and make some exercises with it. It's up to you. I think that was all. If you have any questions or a specific topic, grammar topic that you don't know how to go about it or what to do first, please leave a comment below. I will be happy to answer your questions. I wish you good luck and I'll see you next time.